We're taking you back to a major moment in American history. On June 26, 2015, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a landmark ruling legalizing same-sex marriage nationwide. From Washington to North Texas, the decision triggered emotional reactions and immediate action. This is how WFAA covered that day.
Live from Victory Park, this is News 8 Midday.
Hugs and celebration this morning from the Dallas County Records Building to outside the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. and across the country.
Same-sex couples waiting and hoping to get a marriage license got the news of the Supreme Court's decision that same-sex couples have the right to marry anywhere in the United States.
This decision affirms what millions of Americans already believe in their hearts. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free.
That was the president addressing this issue, this 5-4 vote in favor of legalizing same-sex marriage across the country by the Supreme Court of the United States. There you see on the left side of your screen, hugs all around at the Dallas Records Building, and on the right side of your screen, the celebrations that broke out just moments after that decision was made.
That's right. It is a very historic day. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shelley Slater.
And Dallas, by the way, is home to one of the largest gay populations in the country. Just moments ago, leaders from the LGBT and faith communities in Dallas held a press conference to address the court's decision. And here just to run down some of the talking points, bullet points here of this decision. 5-4 is how the court was split. Same-sex couples having the right to marry anywhere in the U.S. States with bans must stop enforcing them, Texas being among the 13, and all states must recognize marriages that have already been performed in other states. So if you were married in another state at any time previous to today, that marriage license stands here in Texas.
And we've been seeing a lot of reaction from people, folks that have been waiting 20, 30 years to get married, getting married today, people clapping from them. And you know, moments ago, leaders from the LGBT and faith communities in Dallas held a press conference to address the court's decision.
Today's decision recognizes our common humanity and dignity. For the first time in American history, LGBT people and their spouses will be respected by our nation.
Now, tonight at 6, the community will celebrate the ruling, starting with a rally at the Cathedral of Hope on Cedar Springs. And following the rally, the community will march and convene at the Legacy of Love Monument in Oak Lawn.
Meantime, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton had warned county clerks not to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples until he had an opportunity to provide direction and clarity. In Dallas County, they're not heeding that warning. Channel 8's Marcus Moore joins us live now from the Dallas County Records Building, where they're even going a step further in this, beyond issuing a marriage license.
Ron, good afternoon. Just a few moments ago here in this courtroom, we saw the very first same-sex marriage made official here in Texas. The couple, George Harris, who is 82 years old, and Jack Evans, 85 years old. They have been together for 54 years. If you have that video, I want to show it to you because it was an incredible, incredible moment that we all witnessed here in this courtroom. And their marriage was made official here. And we talked to Mr. Evans about the significance of this day and what he hopes it will mean going forward. Take a listen.
I hope it doesn't fade too quickly. It's an important day. You can see the people here, those who are reporting and those who are here to participate. It's a big day for everybody. Across the United States, we're making headway that we couldn't envision, we couldn't even consider this 10 years ago. But all of a sudden,
is what we heard from them earlier this afternoon, or earlier today, this historic day. And I want to bring in another couple that's here to be married and make it official. We have Catherine and Angelica here with us. This is an incredible day.
Yes, it's overwhelming, and it's so joyful, and I just can't believe it's here. I didn't think it would ever come to Texas, to be honest with you. So.
What has it been like, Angelica, waiting in this room, in this courtroom this afternoon?
It's been great. Actually, just seeing everybody here and actually, the last couple that we just saw getting married is very beautiful. It's just like they've waited so long, and it's a whole movement. It's history in the making, and it's awesome that we could be here for this day and to actually share our love and to know that, hey, we're all the same. It's love is love, and we're here just to be equal as everybody else.
And there are a lot of people out there who do not see it that way. And all you have to do is go on social media, and you may bump into some of these folks on the street who don't understand or don't accept this. Your message perhaps to them on this day and going forward?
I would say not everyone's going to agree, but tolerance. That's what you need to have, and eventually, hopefully, acceptance. Realize that, as gay people, lesbians, whatever, we're all the same. We have goals, we have a family, a life, a house, and we want all the same things you do. So all I can say is try and view it from yourself as a human being versus anything else. I couldn't agree more with what she said. Exactly.
How long have you two been together?
We've been together 2 years. 2 years? Yes, exactly.
You're making it official today?
We're making it official. We are.
All right, Catherine, Angelica, we wish you the very best. Thank you very much for your time. And interestingly, Ron and Shelley, when you talk to Catherine and Angelica, and you consider what Mr. Harris and Mr. Evans went through and what they told us. Again, they met back in 1961, and one of the things that Mr. Evans told us today is there was a time when you could literally be, they said, thrown in jail for being gay. He described a raid that happened in Dallas and a number of other cities. He thought in the 70s where police would raid gay clubs at night or would gather gay people together and then arrest them for loitering. And then you fast forward to this day, one that they did not anticipate, that they did not expect today. They always hoped it would happen, but they didn't expect it to happen. But certainly we have come a long way, and they are hopeful for the future. And we'll see a number of other marriages happening here in Dallas. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Marcus. And so many couples are on their way over to the George Allen Courthouse in Dallas to get married. Channel 8's Monica Hernandez is live at the Dallas County Civil Courthouse. So we just saw a lot of action where Marcus is. What's the status there?
Right now, a lot of people are just on standby. There's really a feeling of excitement here for all the judges who have agreed to perform marriages for same-sex couples today, but particularly for the judge here at the 116th District Courthouse, because she has been waiting for this moment for years. I want to give you a look at Tanya Parker's reaction to this. Now, she says that she has been waiting for 3 years. She made waves 3 years ago when she said she didn't feel right performing marriage ceremonies until all people could get married. Now, Parker is openly gay, and the Supreme Court's decision strikes a chord not just for her, but for all members of the LGBT community. Take a listen.
The weight of second-class citizenship, it is real, it is heavy, it is persistent, it does not abate. And so today, for a long time, represents a moment in our history where, for a large segment of our community, that badge, that weight, that heaviness is going to abate.
We are really hearing right now, we are waiting to hear if we can get a camera into this courtroom to record some of the first marriages, because we are hearing that Judge Tanya Parker will conduct some of those first marriages. And again, she hasn't performed a marriage ceremony in years. Today will be the first day, because now all people can get married. And all of the judges here telling me that they're planning to be in the courtroom for that as well, so that they can witness this historic moment. In Dallas, Monica Hernandez, Channel 8 News.
All right, Monica. And President Obama reacted to the Supreme Court ruling in comments he delivered from the White House.
It's a victory for gay and lesbian couples who have fought so long for their basic civil rights. It's a victory for their children, whose families will now be recognized as equal to any other. It's a victory for the allies and friends and supporters who spent years, even decades, working and praying for change to come. And this ruling is a victory for America.
The president also praised the court for ending the, quote, patchwork system of marriage equality laws across the country.
And Shelley, the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, being a staunch opponent of gay marriage, had this to say in a tweet not long after that decision was handed down. Marriage was defined by God. No man can redefine it. We will defend our religious liberties. Going on now to the state attorney general, Ken Paxton, saying this: following SCOTUS' flawed ruling, the next fight is religious liberty. And finally, here we have this coming from State Representative Chris Turner. This is truly a historic day. Hashtag love wins. We will share with you as well, coming up in the next half hour, more of the feedback we're getting here on social media, not just from those in the political realm, Shelley, but beyond that, everyday people and
Normal
companies,
people.
corporations as well.
Okay, we're going to check in on that. And we've also been following what's going on in Tarrant County. Couples there, just like in Dallas County, have started applying for marriage licenses. Applications were updated when the Supreme Court made that announcement. The application actually looks different. Let's get over to Channel 8's Jim Douglas. He spoke to the Tarrant County clerk and has a lot more. Jim?
We are here at the Tarrant County Clerk's office, and before we do anything else or say anything else, let's pan down and look at this right here, because what this is the first same-sex marriage license issued in Tarrant County, issued just a few minutes ago here. And this little girl who's holding it is really looking forward to a wedding ceremony coming up with her folks. And let me introduce who the license was issued to. This is Corporal Tracy Knight, Fort Worth Police, and her wife Shannon. Congratulations to both of you.
Thanks, Jim.
You actually got married in California a couple of years ago.
We did. We call it doing the paperwork because we needed the legal rights that come along with marriage, tax purposes, things of that nature. But we haven't had the ceremony yet because we wanted to have our daughter and our families present, so we're waiting for that.
Shannon, why is it so important to have this in Texas? Because your marriage is already recognized.
It is already recognized, but this is our home state, and this is where we wanted to gather our family and friends and get married, in the state of our beloved Texas.
What was your reaction when this decision came down, Tracy?
Tears of joy. Shannon and I were both cautiously optimistic. We really hoped the decision would go our way, but there was that little bit of fear in there that it might not have gone that way. So we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, and so when the decision came down, we were elated, and I mean literally tears of joy.
And then there was kind of a hiccup when you first came in to apply.
Right.
And they said, well, wait a minute, you're already married. And you thought, well, you couldn't apply. And there was a disappointment there, right?
We were disappointed because it does mean a lot to have a marriage license with our home state of Texas on it. Like I said before, Shannon's a 7th-generation Texan. Her family immigrated from Ireland and Scotland to Galveston. So it was important to us and our family to have that Texas on there. But we also, this is a new legal decision, and so we didn't want to create any issues. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything the right way.
And you've been married 2 years, you've been together for 12 years, and this little girl is
6.
You are 6, and you're about to lose a tooth, so don't do that live on TV for us. What do you think about all of this, Evan?
Well, we're already a family, but it could be nice to get married.
Could be. So tell us about the celebration that's coming up, because there is going to be a wedding in Texas, right?
Absolutely. We're going to have a big Texas wedding, and I'm not sure who wants to be the flower girl. Do you have any? You do? You want to be the flower girl? All right.
Getting it worked out live on TV right here. Thank you again for joining us, and congratulations. I know it's been a long time and a long wait for both of you. And they're not the only ones who've come in. We haven't seen a big rush of couples coming in up here, but we did see one couple come in, and at that time the clerk was not issuing the licenses, so they left. There was another woman up here who said it felt so good to finally just feel like she belonged, but again, she could not get her license either, so we expect them to be coming back anytime. But that's the situation here in Tarrant County, live at the clerk's office here. Jim Douglas, back to you.
Jim Douglas, thank you. And we are live back here at Victory Park Studios, and Michelle O'Neill is joining us. She is a family lawyer, an attorney with a family law practice. You were here this morning on Daybreak. We were talking about the possibilities, of which there were a number, which way the court might go. What a difference a few hours makes.
That's right. That's right. Now we know for sure.
And it is, as you describe it, the full enchilada. There were some decisions that could have, if it's even possible, done equality part and parcel, and this is all in.
Yeah, this was the whole decision, everything that anybody wanted it to be, it certainly gave it to us.
Absolutely the best option. Now, we don't want to rain on anyone's parade here, but by the letter of the law, none of this really is in full effect until the mandate is handed down in 2 weeks?
In about 2 weeks. Technically, an appellate opinion isn't in effect until the mandate issues, and that's about 2 weeks from now.
Let's talk about the opinion as it was authored by Justice Kennedy. He said this in part: "It would misunderstand these men and women to say they disrespect the idea of marriage. Their plea is that they do respect it so deeply that they seek to find its fulfillment for themselves. Their hope is not to be condemned to live in loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions." What was your first impression when you read that part of the opinion, the closing paragraph?
Yeah, I thought that the opinion overall was very emotional and very touching, and it really struck an emotional chord with me. You know, being grateful for my husband and for the ability of people out there to have relationships like I have and like many people have, that and now, you know, people that have not been able to have that are able to.
Jim Douglas was interviewing a couple. They're not married, but they have a 6-year-old child. There are many same-sex couples,
yes,
who also have children. They've either adopted or gone through other means to have biological children. How many times in your practice have you had to work and take extraordinary lengths to make sure those children are protected in the same way under the law as heterosexual couples who can marry?
Yeah, it comes up a lot in my practice, and unfortunately the remedies have been very limited for same-sex couples that have children, and the non-biological parent is treated somewhat as an afterthought. One case that I had comes to mind, a now very dear friend of mine, but she was the non-biological parent, and she ended up not seeing that child ever again because she didn't have legal standing to have a relationship with the child that wasn't her biological child. I have to hope that now, under the new opinion and the new state of things for same-sex couples, that people that are like her will have a different outcome.
And I want to end on that this opinion does include specifically the inequality that children of same-sex couples have to live with. It was described as a stigma. That stigma now lifted here on this date, June 26th. Michelle, thank you.
It's a historic day.
And when we come back with Michelle in the next half hour, we'll talk a little bit more about the dissenting opinion here, what those who voted against this, those 4 justices, part of what they had to say. Shelley, as well.
All right, and as you said, June 26th, it will go down in the record books as a historic day for gay rights. On this day in 2003, a decision came out of Lawrence versus Texas. That state must stop criminalizing homosexual conduct. Then, June 26th in 2013, U.S. versus Windsor struck down part of the law that denied benefits to same-sex couples. So here's a look at where Texans stand on same-sex marriage. This is according to a University of Texas and Texas Tribune poll. Voters are pretty split, with 44% in favor, 41% against, and 14% say they just don't really know right now. Results also find Texas Democrats are more likely to support gay marriage than Republicans, and more women are for it than men.
Live from Victory Park, this is News 8 Midday.
And then sometimes there are days like this, when that slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt.
President Obama reacting to today's historic Supreme Court ruling legalizing same-sex marriage. It is the culmination of 2 decades of litigation at the nation's highest court. We welcome you back here on News 8 Midday for this historic June 26th. I'm Shelley Slater.
And I'm Ron Corning. Thank you for joining us. And we should tell you celebrations have been taking place all day long from Washington, D.C. to Dallas as same-sex couples, their supporters, in some cases their children, and their communities react to this landmark ruling. Dallas is home to one of the largest gay populations in the country, and same-sex marriage, well, marriages, plural, are already underway. Channel 8's Marcus Moore joins us live now from the Dallas County Courts building with
Gibson and Edwards. Ron, good afternoon. We have already seen one marriage performed here in this courtroom. Right now, the various couples are having their names called so they can begin the process of getting that marriage license. And it is once they have that license that they take that to a judge, and the judge then makes performs the marriage and makes it official, and they sign that certificate, and that marriage is legal. So right now, they are getting their names called. It's been a long wait for a number of people who showed up here at the Records Building this morning once they got word of the Supreme Court ruling. And since that time, we have seen couples streaming into this building to make their love official. So that's what you're seeing right now. Again, we have seen a lot of cheers, or we've heard a lot of cheers and seen tears as well, tears of joy from couples who have been waiting for this day for quite some time. And earlier we showed you and we told you about George Harris and Jack Evans. That is a couple from Dallas. They were real estate agents for 38 years. They've since retired, but they have been together 54 years, and today were the very first to be married here in Dallas, same-sex couple. So they made history here in this room, and we know that one other couple will be married here in just a few moments. Other couples will be going to another building, a courthouse, to see a judge there. So we have already seen at least one marriage become official here, and many more to come here in Dallas today. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Marcus. More judges are standing by, getting ready to perform some of the first same-sex marriages in Dallas County, and courts are having to make some adjustments to accommodate these couples. County judges celebrated the news this morning. 18 are on hand who can perform marriages today, and more judges can come in to help there in Crowley. Normally there is a 72-hour waiting period once you get your marriage license, but Dallas County judges will consider waiving that for same-sex couples on a case-by-case basis.
They will be treated the same way in Dallas County, and we think that's very important. The Supreme Court has ruled. It is the law of the land. It is the supreme authority, and my colleagues and I take our oaths very, very seriously.
The first floor jury room will be used to conduct ceremonies if judges are inundated with requests.
Dallas, as we told you, is home to one of the largest gay populations in the country. And just moments ago, leaders from the LGBT and faith communities in Dallas held a press conference to address the court's decision. To say they were excited would be an understatement. They were joined there by same-sex couples, all of them thanking everyone who joined for the fight for LGBT couples to marry.
Thank God Almighty. I thank all of those who have worked so hard in the legal system and have put their lives and their families before the public eye to fight for all of our rights. So thank you for all of us.
And tonight at 6, the community will celebrate the ruling, starting with a rally at the Cathedral of Hope on Cedar Springs. Following that rally, the community will march and convene at the Legacy of Love Monument in Oak Lawn.
This day just could not have come any sooner for one Plano couple. Vic Holmes and Mark Ferris were plaintiffs in the suit filed against Texas's ban on same-sex marriage. They have been fighting the state for more than a year. Both men held a press conference from Austin today. They called today the happiest day of their lives. They say they're excited that they will be able to marry in the state of Texas.
This truly is probably one of our happiest days of our lives. We are so thrilled that the plans that we have made to book a venue, to hire a florist, to hire a band, to have a baker, all of that arranged. We've sent out save the date cards for a wedding in November in North Texas. All of that now can proceed forward, and we are truly, truly excited and truly, truly thankful.
They say they respect those of you out there who oppose gay marriage, but they just want their marriage to be recognized. The Oak Lawn area in Dallas is a staple within the LGBT community. Several business owners there are rejoicing over today's decision. They say it's a long time coming. JLA's Jenny Doran has more.
The Legacy of Love Monument here in Oak Lawn is taking on new meaning with today's historic Supreme Court ruling. It is a tribute to all citizens, gay and straight, and now folks in this area are celebrating marriage equality.
Everybody has to take the greater leap.
Friday morning, the Supreme Court did take that leap, legalizing same-sex marriage in all 50 states and giving Julian Lickey's brother the opportunity to fall in love and marry.
For me, it's a very personal thing. I can't even imagine the idea of getting married myself unless he had that same ability.
Excitement over changes brewing inside this coffee house and restaurant that prides itself on diversity.
People should feel accepted and not banned from simple things like getting married.
Reverend Nan Baker says her church in Rhode Island welcomes diversity. A Texas native, she's happy same-sex couples will have the same rights here now.
It's a day that is a blessing to not only individuals but their children, and I think society at large, to remove this horrible inequality.
She says saying one couple's commitment is less valuable than another's is backward. And now the majority of Supreme Court justices agree. Love is love.
Thank God. It's been a long time coming.
I didn't find a single person out here who feels otherwise. It is possible that a crowd may gather out here later today in a show of support. Reporting in Oak Lawn, Jenny Doran, Channel 8 News.
Jenny, thank you. And as we continue to monitor social media, some of the feedback coming in on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Here we have from Dr. Jill Biden, wife to Vice President Joe Biden, saying love is love in every state in America. And there is the White House with the rainbow gay pride flag. As we continue on here, this one coming from American Airlines, one of many corporations today supporting this decision. They say, we are on board. Diversity strengthens us all, and today we celebrate marriage equality and the landmark decision. And finally here, we want to bring you this from Bishop Kevin Farrell. He is the Bishop of the Archdiocese of Dallas. He says, in light of the SCOTUS marriage decision on marriage today, I ask for prayers for this country. Now, it should be noted, no religious institution under this ruling is required by law to perform same-sex marriages. They have a right to abstain from that. That is part of religious freedom in this country. Nonetheless, the term marriage now doesn't just define marriage between a man and a woman. Stay with News 8 now for continuing coverage of the landmark Supreme Court ruling legalizing same-sex marriage. We'll have the latest on air, online, and of course, on social media. And we are back here at 13 minutes before 1 o'clock, taking a closer look at this landmark decision by the Supreme Court supporting same-sex marriage nationwide. Michelle O'Neill is joining us. She's a family attorney. She has read the opinion from the court in depth and is going to share some of that with us, including the dissenting opinions in just a moment. But as we talk about the law, changing laws are often the result of changing dispositions in society and as our society changes. And I feel like that can best be represented with the president's own stance on gay marriage. In 2008, he said marriage was between a man and a woman. It was for religious institutions to carry out. And in 2012, he shifted. He said his opinion evolved.
Well, and I think over time, the opinions of many people have evolved, and that's a sign of our society evolving. The majority opinion today in the Obergefell case actually talks in depth about the evolving opinions of society and that marriage is an institution of continuity and change.
As it relates to government benefits and recognition and equal rights and so forth, that is true. Perhaps the definition of marriage in their minds is evolving and changing, but religious institutions are steadfast in saying, even today, marriage is between a man and a woman, and we need to let people know here that religious institutions are not bound by this ruling to perform same-sex marriages, correct?
Right, and Justice Kennedy points that out in the majority opinion, that this is not in any way affecting anybody's religious beliefs. There are some churches who oppose same-sex marriage, and there are some churches who actually are fine with them. But this is not going to change anybody's religious beliefs. Everybody is welcome to have the religious beliefs that they have.
And yet, religious institutions are up in arms today in their public statements on social media.
Yeah. Well, you know, they don't have to perform same-sex marriages in their churches or in their religious gatherings. You know, this is about a government institution, about a government law.
Equal protection under the law, regardless. Let's talk about the dissenting opinions. Among them, Justice Scalia, Chief Justice Roberts. What struck you about what they had to say?
So, you know, the entire outcome kind of fell on the lines that we expected. So the 4 conservative justices all fell right where we thought they were going to fall, and each of them filed a dissent separately, which is very rare. They usually will have one dissent and everybody kind of agrees on it. But each of the justices, you know, spoke independently about their beliefs. They all had something in common, though, and that was the concept of the limitation of the Constitution. And it's a fundamental difference of opinion of just kind of theoretical constitutional law, but a difference of opinion of the word marriage is nowhere in the Constitution, and so the minority feels like the majority is expanding the wording of the Constitution to include the word marriage.
And so as a result, some of what they said, did it strike you as this is going to be a negative term, but did it strike you as more vitriolic than typical of a dissent?
You know, typically Scalia tends to be a little vitriolic. You know, the other justices' dissents are fairly moderated, but they all kind of have this strict constructionist attack.
I'm paraphrasing here, but I think Justice Scalia at one point said something, who do we think we are?
That was Justice Roberts.
That was Justice Roberts said, who do we think we are?
Yeah, who do we think we are to create this new law where it doesn't exist?
And yet there's no precedent for them interpreting and creating in effect by way of changing laws that exist or interpreting them different. Aren't they always in effect? Isn't that by definition what their role
you know,
is?
Justice Roberts in his dissent would disagree with you. He would say, isn't the majority opinion creating law, because the word marriage is not found in the Constitution. So I think it's, you know, kind of a fundamental difference of opinion about the strict construction of the Constitution versus the expansion of the Constitution.
And yet, as we sit here, they've certainly come to terms with the fact that they were in the minority.
They recognize the minority nature of the opinion.
And
yes.
it stands. All right, thank you very much, Michelle O'Neill. Your insight has been very valuable.
Live from Victory Park, this is News 8 at 4.
By the authority vested in me by the Constitution of the United States, I pronounce you spouses for life. Woo!
A historic day in Dallas, across Texas, and even nationwide. These men were the first same-sex couple married in Dallas County after the Supreme Court ruled all states must let same-sex couples get married.
This decision affirms what millions of Americans already believe in their hearts. When all Americans are treated as equal, we are all more free.
And good afternoon, I'm Shelley Slater. Thanks for joining us here for News 8 at 4. This ruling means 14 states, including Texas, must stop enforcing their bans on same-sex marriage. Marcus Moore is live downtown Dallas, where people are lining up to get their marriage licenses. Marcus, you've seen at least one couple tie the knot today.
Yes, Shelley, it was indeed a historic moment that we witnessed today at the Records Building here in downtown Dallas, where that first couple was married for the first time today. A number of people there to see it happen, and we have video of it. Right now, we are at the Allen Courts Building. This is where some of the couples were headed to be married today after getting their marriage licenses at the Records Building, which isn't that far away. And in fact, that is where this day started for so many gay couples. And this morning, we were there, where at least 4 couples had already lined up before the Supreme Court's decision came down. Many of them at the Records Building this morning, waiting to learn if indeed the court would rule in their favor. And by now we know that the justices did just that. And it was encouraging news to Jack Evans and his husband, George Harris. They have been married, rather they have been together for 54 years and were the first to officially be married today. Mr. Evans said that this was about equality.
And that's all we're looking for, is equality. We're not asking for anything special, just equality and recognition and respect.
And we are going to hear more from Mr. Evans later on News 8. But we also had a chance to meet with a number of other couples, including a gentleman by the name of Jim Reno. He was waiting to get a marriage license as well, and he said that the impact of today's decision will go far beyond today. And he talked about the young people who will see this as they grow up. Take a listen.
I don't feel that any gay person now will feel like they have to hide. I think that gay children growing up will be able to see loving gay marriages all over, and that will make their lives better.
And so that is just a sense of what we have heard from some of the people who gathered this morning to be a part of history. And we'll hear much more from them coming up a little bit later on News 8. But certainly, this is a story, this is a significant day for people from coast to coast, not just here in North Texas. And that includes our nation's capital. And ABC correspondent Stephanie Ramos has more from Washington, D.C.
That the 4 words etched onto the front of the Supreme Court, equal justice under law, apply to us, too.
Outside the Supreme Court, joy.
In the narrow 5-4 decision, the court said today same-sex couples do have a constitutional right to marry in all 50 states. As we've seen in many close decisions recently, Justice Anthony Kennedy was the deciding vote.
Our love is equal.
Jim Obergefell, the lead plaintiff in the SCOTUS gay marriage case, sued his home state of Ohio to make the state recognize him as the widower of his partner of 20 years.
It's my hope that the term gay marriage will soon be a thing of the past, that from this day forward, it will simply be marriage.
President Obama called Obergefell to congratulate him on this historic ruling. 37 states and the District of Columbia already allow legal same-sex marriage. But with this decision, same-sex couples in the remaining 13 states will have that same right. Not everyone who was at the court this morning agrees.
We hope that millions of Americans who still believe that a marriage is one man and one woman will continue to proclaim that truth today.
President Obama says this is a victory for America.
Our nation was founded on a bedrock principle: that we are all created equal.
The Obama administration has stepped up support for same-sex marriage. President Obama even took to Twitter with the hashtag #LoveWins. At the Supreme Court, Stephanie Ramos, ABC News.
And we do want to give you now a legal perspective on the significance of today's announcement and decision. And for that, we want to bring in Michelle O'Neill, a family law attorney here in North Texas. Ms. O'Neill, first, your reaction to this decision, certainly historical in every way.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the most historical Supreme Court opinions to come down during our generation and our lifetime.
And when we talk about the significance of this and what it actually means to be married, it's a serious deal. I mean, this is changing the lives for so many people from a legal standpoint in terms of family law.
Sure, absolutely. Getting married is just the first step in being married. And so you not only have, all the normal relationship issues, but, it's also a somewhat permanent situation that's not very easily gotten out of either.
And so what are some of the things that couples need to keep in mind as they move forward with the process of being married?
Yeah, so, some of the things they need to keep in mind are that, once you're married in Texas, you start creating community property so that all of the property that you get together after the marriage is the property of both of you. And then whenever if you break up and you get a divorce, then that property is going to be split between the two of you. And so it's no longer your stuff and your partner's stuff. I mean, it's all joined together.
All right, well, Michelle O'Neill, a family law attorney here in North Texas. Stay with us. We're going to talk to her more, and if you have some questions for her on this issue, tweet us. You can tweet me at Marcus Moore, WFAA. She's going to be here through the hour answering the questions and helping us understand the significance, Shelley, of this historic day that we have been covering a good bit here in Dallas County, but certainly across North Texas, people are reacting to this and making moves to be married.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marcus. In fact, in Tarrant County, people are getting their licenses there as well. Shortly after the Supreme Court's ruling, couples headed to the Tarrant County Plaza building. According to our partners at the Star-Telegram, the first same-sex marriage license was issued to Fort Worth police to a police officer named Tracy Knight and her wife. There have been 16 issued so far. Now, on the flip side, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is not happy about this decision. He did issue this statement, quote, "The Supreme Court, as it has in the past, is making law. I do not believe that is what the Constitution intended or allows. In my view, this is a clear violation of the separation of powers." Then he goes on to say, "It has been said that those who oppose gay marriage are on the wrong side of history. I would rather be on the wrong side of history than on the wrong side of my faith and beliefs. I believe I am not alone in that view in this country." News 8's Jason Whiteley is here to talk to us about the politics behind today's ruling. Dan Patrick coming out incredibly strong today.
Absolutely, and one of the key takeaways from what we heard from him, that comment came out within the last hour, but just before he said about the wrong side of history, he said that he's asking the Attorney General of the state of Texas, Ken Paxton, whether the Pastor Protection Act, which was passed last legislative session, it essentially tells pastors, hey, if you don't want to marry a same-sex couple, you don't have to. It gives that protection to pastors. But the lieutenant governor is now asking whether they can broaden that scope and include county clerks, judges, and justices of the peace. Say, hey, if you don't want to issue a license because it goes against your religion, you don't have to do it. Now, whether that passes, of course, is going to be, highly unusual, highly suspect as well. But clearly, Republicans in this state, the largest Republican state in the country, are concerned about this for themselves, for their constituents, and trying to figure out a way to attack it.
Interesting that you say that, because we actually had a statistic on the news the other day, our news, that in Dallas County they asked every single one of those folks that work in the office, is anyone going to have problems with this if this goes through? And nobody said that they had a problem with it. But if they did, he's trying to protect that religious freedom.
He is, and that would probably apply more to the rural counties, the more Republican counties, obviously. County Judge Clay Jenkins thinks that Dallas County, this might be a boon for Dallas County. It costs $81 for marriage certificates in this county. He expects people to come from counties around. If they don't want to wait, maybe in Collin County or other conservative counties, they might come to Dallas County and get that done. But clearly Republicans in this state are trying to figure out how they can attack this, and religious liberty is what they're going after.
Okay, and what about Governor Greg Abbott today?
He's echoed the same things, saying religious liberty is what's being attacked here, clearly putting the First Amendment, which protects freedom of speech and freedom of religion, up against the 14th Amendment, which is the Equality Clause, which the 5-4 decision today legalized same-sex marriage.
All right. Thank you, Jason Whiteley, for perspective. Always politics behind everything, yes?
Always.
Okay. Well, earlier today, leaders from the LGBT and faith communities in Dallas held a news conference to address the court's decision. They were very excited, and that's an understatement.
It really is a joy. I traveled from Los Angeles to Dallas, and as we crossed into the Texas arena, we realized that my husband and I were no longer married in the state of Texas. But today, our marriage is affirmed here, not only in Dallas, Texas, but in all 50 states of the United States of America. What a day for equality and liberation.
Tonight at 6, the community will celebrate this ruling, starting with a rally at the Cathedral of Hope on Cedar Springs. And after the rally, the community will march and convene at the Legacy of Love Monument in Oak Cliff. Of course, as we've said, not everybody's happy about this decision. Some religious leaders we spoke with today say they're opposed to same-sex marriage.
Well, I think today for the faith-based community and those that believe as I do, that it is a very challenging day.
That is Pastor Renee Hornbuckle, and she told News 8 that while God commands us to love everybody, that doesn't mean she has to condone those decisions. Hornbuckle added that she's grateful Governor Greg Abbott provided protection for churches to keep them from performing same-sex ceremonies. Stay with News 8 as we continue to cover this landmark Supreme Court ruling legalizing same-sex marriage. We have a lot more information on air, online, and we are tweeting and putting things on Facebook. We'll keep you posted throughout the night.
Live from Victory Park, this is News 8 at 4.
Sometimes there are days like this, when that slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt.
President Obama praising today's monumental Supreme Court ruling legalizing same-sex marriage. Across the country, people are celebrating this right.
Today's decision recognizes our common humanity and dignity. For the first time in American history, LGBT people and their spouses will be respected by our nation.
And good afternoon, I'm Shelley Slater. Thanks for being here at 4. Now, several states, including Texas, must end their bans on same-sex marriage. Our Marcus Moore is live downtown Dallas, where people are coming and going, getting those marriage licenses. We're going to get to him in just a minute. First, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton had warned county clerks not to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples until he's had the opportunity to provide direction and clarity. Those were his words. That was the case earlier today in Houston. Couples couldn't get their licenses because the official paperwork stated man and woman, but now they're able to pick them up. In Austin, the Travis County Clerk's Office is issuing marriage licenses. By noon, workers said they had issued 54 of them. A church in downtown Austin plans to hold a large marriage ceremony tonight at 6. Today's Supreme Court decision was a 5-4 split. You can see here where everybody went for and against this ruling. 37 states and the District of Columbia allowed same-sex marriage. Now couples living in the states that you see highlighted in orange there will have the same right. This includes James Obergefell, the lead plaintiff in the case, who sued Ohio because he wanted them to recognize his widow as a late partner.
Our love is equal. That the 4 words etched onto the front of the Supreme Court, equal justice under law, apply to us too.
President Obama called Obergefell today to congratulate him and said his case would bring lasting change to this country. Okay, we do want to get back to Marcus Moore live in downtown Dallas. You've been covering this story all day, Marcus.
Yeah, Shelley, it has been an incredibly busy day and an emotional one that we have seen play out here in downtown Dallas. I'm at the Allen Courts building, which is one of the stops for a number of couples who are in the process of marrying for the first time here in the state of Texas. And that process begins at the Records building. That is where we saw couples lining up this morning, many of them not even sure if the Supreme Court would rule in their favor, and we have since learned that indeed they did. And when that announcement came down, we had applause, we heard cheers, and we also saw a number of tears in that building because it was so emotional for those couples. And Monica Hernandez has been following this story for us. She has been talking to those couples and also has information about the marriage license process that we have seen play out here. Monica, truly an incredible day.
It is. Incredible is the word for it, Marcus. We are still seeing people arriving here at the George Allen Courthouse with their wedding licenses in hand, ready to tie the knot. Finally, we're seeing people carrying flowers, but most of all, we're seeing those big smiles on their faces in this historic day. And I want to give you a look at the very first wedding to take place here inside that courthouse. Take a look. This is Becky Roberts and Kathy Tucker, and they are finally tying the knot after 28 years today. Now, I want to show you, they say that they were actually among the first to get their licenses, and it's a big deal for the judge who married them as well. Judge Tanya Parker has said that she would not marry any couples until all couples had that right, and so this was the first ceremony that she performed in 3 years with all the other judges looking on. Take a listen.
Today presents an opportunity where I can now marry couples that come to the courtroom just like any other judge who does that.
The couple who actually was the first to get married inside this courthouse, that'll be coming up at 5, but I do want to tell you that normally there's a 72-hour waiting period from the time you get your license to the time you can get married, but the judges inside this courthouse today are waiving that because they say these couples have already waited for so long. In Dallas County, Monica Hernandez, Channel 8 News.
And Monica, thank you very much for that. And certainly that is an important point that Monica just made, the fact that a number of these couples have been waiting. We heard from one couple, they've been together for 54 years. And just a few moments ago, we met another couple coming out of the Allen Courts building. This is David and Sean. They have been together for 6 years, and it is now official today. What does it mean for you, Sean?
It just means that it's a huge step in moving forward in our future. We've been kind of on hold. We've been together for 6 years. We've been in love with each other for 6 years. There's nobody else that I ever want to spend the rest of my life with. And we sort of reached a point in our relationship where, you know, the next evolution was having our commitment affirmed by the public and by the state that we live in and the country that we live in.
And David, this has been a long process. I know that there was a point where you guys were living in another state and you wanted to wait to get married here in Texas. Kind of tell us about that and why that was important for you.
Sure, yeah, we're originally from Washington, D.C., where it is legal before. And, you know, we really wanted to, now that we live in Texas and we love the state, we wanted to share that with our friends in Texas, and we wanted to wait for the ruling to be able to do that in the state of Texas.
And you all are making history at the same time, or you are a part of history. I wonder when you were talking to the judge, what was the judge's reaction to all of this, and what was that moment, the mood like?
You know, it's been amazing every step of the process today, from pulling into the parking structure downtown to going to the Records building. Everybody has been so accommodating. and just so happy. It's just been surrounded by joy all day long, and the judge was absolutely no exception. I don't know who was happier for us, him, like us or him. I mean, he kept thanking us for coming out today, and of course we were so appreciative for him to have made the decision to marry people today.
And I have, David, talked to so many people who have said that they now feel equal, and that is perhaps what is most important. Is it the same for you?
Absolutely. Well, the only thing we wanted was to be equal by our government, and as you know, as an American, to be equal with everybody else. That's all we asked for.
David and Sean, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations to you. Appreciate it. We certainly wish you the very best. And we have heard reaction from a number of people across North Texas, including the mayor of Dallas. This is what Mayor Mike Rawlings had to say about today's historic decision.
It's great for Dallas because tens of thousands of citizens of Dallas who wanted this right are now going to have this. And I'm sure they're going to go down to the Dallas County Courthouse and start those proceedings.
And the mayor is right. That is exactly what we have seen today, Shelley. People here at the Allen Courts building finalizing their marriage. And of course, as we heard from Monica, it started earlier today with people lining up, many of them not knowing what the Supreme Court's decision would be. Still, they gathered there to begin the process of getting their marriage license. And today, they are a part of history. And many of them have said that they have the same anniversary, or they're celebrating the same anniversary with so many people. And that is so exciting for them. We'll have much more from downtown here later on News 8. But Shelley, we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Marcus. And of course, Marcus is showing us downtown Dallas, but over in Tarrant County, people there are also getting their licenses. And shortly after the Supreme Court's ruling, couples, they showed up at the Tarrant County Plaza building. And according to our partners at the Star-Telegram, the first same-sex marriage license was issued to Fort Worth police officer named Tracy Knight and her wife. They have been together for a long time, and there have been 16 licenses issued there so far. Things aren't moving quite as quickly for couples in Collin and Denton County. Neither one is giving marriage licenses to same-sex couples today. The Collin County clerk says they're not prepared for the change and they're waiting on legal guidance. We have a crew in Denton County tonight, but so far it's unclear what's holding things up in that location. And for a Plano couple, today really could not have come soon enough. Vic Holmes and Mark Ferris were plaintiffs in the suit filed against Texas's ban on same-sex marriage. They have been fighting the state for more than a year. Both men held a press conference from Austin today. They say they're excited that they will be able to marry in the state of Texas.
This truly is probably one of our happiest days of our lives. We are so thrilled that the plans that we have made to book a venue, to hire a florist, to hire a band, to have a baker, all of that arranged. We've sent out save the date cards for a wedding in November in North Texas. All of that now can proceed forward, and we are truly, truly excited and truly, truly thankful.
So the men say they do respect those of you who oppose gay marriage. They just wanted their marriage to be recognized. As we said, not everybody agrees with this decision. We spoke to some people who oppose same-sex marriage today.
When we look at our beliefs, I think for the faith-based believers that we have to stand up for what we believe in. And in the process of doing that, we can love others, but we don't have to condone what we don't believe in.
Renee Hornbuckle is a pastor in North Texas. She says the ruling goes against what the Bible says. Hornbuckle said people are still welcome in their churches. They just don't have to condone what they believe in. Governor Abbott recently signed a law that protects pastors from performing gay marriages. As you can imagine, and as you've probably noticed, social media is just lit up today about this topic. A lot of large companies, this one's AT&T, are changing their logos, even their Twitter symbols, to say love is love. American Airlines is another example here. It looks like you're in flight. We're on board. Diversity strengthens us all, and today we celebrate. But like we said, not everybody's thrilled here. Lona says, what a shame, very disappointed. in America's political decisions. She says today is a sad day, and Jimmy says this basically is the capital D in doomed, that our country is doomed after a decision like this. Now, there are several rallies planned all across North Texas tonight. In Dallas, the Cathedral of Hope will have one on Cedar Springs Road. Then in Fort Worth, people will gather at the Celebration Community Church on Pennsylvania Avenue. In Denton, a rally is planned at the Denton Courthouse Square on West Hickory. All of these starting at 6 tonight. Be sure to stay with us for continuing coverage of this landmark decision. We have the latest, as you can imagine, on air, online, and on social media, so you can always check that out.
Live from Victory Park, this is News 8 at 5.
All right, if y'all could hold hands and face each other, please.
They waited 54 years for this historic moment.
Spouses for life.
Woo! A first in Dallas County, then one after another. They married legally. A U.S. Supreme Court decision bringing joy in all 50 states.
This ruling will strengthen all of our communities.
But not everyone is celebrating.
They're using the government to redefine what marriage is.
Millions of gay Americans get the right to marry. In some North Texas counties, they're already tying the knot, but challenges remain. Good evening. I'm John McKay.
I'm Cynthia Izaguirre. A 5-4 Supreme Court decision came early this morning, and for many, it has been a long road to equality. Massachusetts was the first state to legalize same-sex marriage in 2004. 11 years later, this is where we stand. Same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states.
Now, in North Texas, gay couples started getting married this afternoon in Dallas County. Tarrant County started issuing marriage licenses shortly thereafter, but Collin, Hood, Wise, and Denton counties are not issuing licenses just yet. The Denton County clerk expects the county will begin and be ready to issue licenses on Monday. The clerk says the computer issue is keeping them from doing it today. A rally is planned at 6 outside the Denton County Courthouse tonight. We have complete coverage for you tonight, beginning in Dallas County. Monica Hernandez is standing by with the ruling that turned personal for one judge. But let's start with Marcus Moore, who was there to witness the first legal gay marriage in North Texas. Marcus?
John, it has been an incredible day, and there was a lot of emotion when we saw that marriage take place. We are at the Allen Courts building. This is where we have seen a stream of couples coming and going, making official and finalizing something they have waited so long for, to be married. But it started with another anxious wait this morning at a county building.
Well, all right, thanks.
When word of the Supreme Court's decision began to spread, cheers and applause filled this room. It was the moment so many here had been waiting for.
I was like, is this really happen? Did this just happen? Is it real? Yeah, it's very exciting.
This was their moment to make what for them has been so real finally official and legal in the eyes of the country.
Such a sense of relief. We're so excited.
Our families and friends have known that this love is real for years, you know, and now to actually have the law behind it, that's just amazing.
I don't know, it's just really emotional, so it's going to be a great day.
Texas and 12 other states had bans on same-sex marriages, but the United States Supreme Court struck them down, ruling that gay couples can marry in all 50 states. It made way for this line to grow as more and more couples came to this county office to get their marriage license and eventually marry. But for Bill Reno, it means so much more.
It means that we're equal. We are now equal under the eyes of the law. We have the same rights as everyone else, and now this can be put to rest and the country can move forward.
Among those making history, 85-year-old Jack Evans and his 82-year-old husband, George Harris. They met 54 years ago, and now it comes to this, a judge making it all official.
Pronounce you spouses for life.
It's a very powerful feeling. I don't feel that any gay person now will feel like they have to hide.
And we are going to hear more about that couple you just saw, the very first in Dallas County to be married here today. Jack Evans and George Harris have quite a story to tell, and we'll have that for you tonight at 6 o'clock. We're live downtown. Marcus Moore, Channel 8 News.
Our thanks to you, Marcus. And today, a Dallas County judge performed her first marriage ceremony in 3 years. She's been waiting for marriage equality for all, and today she got it. News 8's Monica Hernandez live at the George Allen Courthouse with her story. Monica?
That's right, and it's not just an exciting day for these couples who are getting married today, but also for the judges, and one in particular who broke her silence about why this issue is so personal and sat down with me exclusively to talk about it more.
Do you, Rebecca Roberts, take Kathleen Tucker to be your partner?
Kathy Tucker and Becky Roberts finally said the words they thought they'd never be able to say in Roberts' home state.
I do. You may seal your commitment with a kiss.
It hits close to home for Judge Tanya Parker, too. This is the first marriage she's performed in 3 years. She had declined to marry any couples until everyone had that right.
I thought it was inappropriate, and I just did not want to exercise my privilege for some and not be able to exercise it for all.
And today, her fellow judges looked on during the ceremony. A member of the LGBT community herself, Parker says this is about much more than the right to marry.
For a large segment of our community, that badge, that weight, that heaviness is going to abate.
The courtroom was packed with supporters, many who didn't even know the couple but wanted to watch history. These two, though, were focused on one thing.
I was so proud to be in there and to be able to be married.
Roberts and Tucker's was the first of dozens of marriages performed here today. Judges waived the waiting period because so many of these couples had already waited so long.
We're on the front line of history right here.
And for a couple who has waited 28 years, there is still some disbelief that their commitment to each other is finally legal.
Wow, we're really married. We're really married. We really did it. We really did it. We tied the knot. Yeah.
I just spoke with one judge who told me that right now there's no reliable way to get a number on how many people were married here today, but we do know it's in the dozens and people are still trickling in. The judges say that they'll stay here until everyone who wants to get married today can. In Dallas, Monica Hernandez, Channel 8 News.
All right, Monica, there have not been any same-sex marriages in Tarrant County, but marriage licenses are being issued. News 8's Lauren Zakalik joins us now live. She's in downtown Fort Worth. Lauren?
Yeah, as of this evening, we just got some new numbers. John, there have been 48 same-sex marriage licenses issued here in Tarrant County. Not quite the same story in Johnson, Hood, and Wise counties. Those counties are either waiting for the Attorney General's interpretation of this law or waiting for updated marriage forms from the state before they will follow suit. But here in Tarrant County, it was an emotional day for so many.
Woo, look at that. All right. We did it. State of Texas, right here.
It is a moment they pictured in their minds for so long.
Oh, it feels fantastic. Congratulations.
Along with her longtime partner, Fort Worth Police Corporal Tracy Knight received the first ever same-sex marriage license in Tarrant County. Their daughter, Evan, by their side. She and her wife, Shannon, were already married in California.
To have our family recognized in our beloved Texas is awesome. Makes me teary-eyed. It's good. It's good.
As soon as the Supreme Court's decision was announced, matrimonial-minded people started filing into the county clerk's office.
The first thing I did was start crying, and then it's a feeling of belonging to the human race.
Jane Klein was overcome with emotion. She says she knows she could have gone out of state to marry her partner.
I'm stubborn. This is my hometown. This is where I live, and this is where I pay taxes, and this is where I want to get married.
Already, Tarrant County replaced its marriage forms with gender-neutral ones.
Applicant 1 and applicant 2.
Embracing the Supreme Court's decision.
Congratulations.
As same-sex families embrace each other after a life-changing day. The county clerk's office says there are no special arrangements for this weekend. They've closed it 5 o'clock. They will reopen normal business hours Monday 8 through 5 to continue giving out those same-sex and traditional marriage licenses. We're live in Fort Worth. Lauren Zakalik, Channel 8 News.
All right, Lauren. Two Plano men are celebrating today's Supreme Court decision after their long, hard-fought battle. Mark Ferris and Victor Holmes have been together 18 years. They filed a civil rights lawsuit in October 2013, challenging the state's ban on same-sex marriage. Last April, Ferris and Holmes witnessed the Supreme Court hearings in Washington, D.C., and were hopeful, whatever the legal process, their side would prevail.
Vic and I never dreamed that we would ever be able to celebrate one of those wedding anniversaries. And now we can, thanks to the Supreme Court.
couple went on to say the Americans recite the Pledge of Allegiance with hand over heart. And today, thanks to the Supreme Court, they say they believe there is a little more liberty and a little more justice for all.
Today's Supreme Court ruling will mean a lot of legal changes for gay couples when it comes to employment benefits. Steve Fox is employment attorney. That's Steve Fox. He's available to chat with you and take your legal questions right now. Specifically, Fox can help guide you through what the Supreme Court ruling means for employees and businesses, whether they are private or public. Search for WFAA TV on Facebook for a link to join in on the conversation.
You know, there's plenty of celebration today, but the opposition is strong. Governor Abbott, for example, tweeted this, that marriage was defined by God. No man can redefine it. We will defend our religious liberties. That's what came from the governor. And then the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, said this today, that today's SCOTUS, which is the Supreme Court of the United States ruling, has made clear our Constitution can be molded to mean anything by unelected judges. Now, the Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, sent a request to Paxton to expand the Pastor Protection Act. He released a statement saying he wants to broaden it to include county clerks, judges, and justices of the peace who may be forced to issue a marriage license.
But right now, we're getting calls now from our 254 county clerks and justices of the peace of what do we do? And in some cases, they're saying, I don't want to perform these weddings. It's against my religious belief.
And Patrick says that he is waiting on a response from the Attorney General. News 8's Rebecca Lopez reports on the growing opposition.
While some people celebrated the Supreme Court's ruling on same-sex marriage, opponents said it was a setback.
I think it's a sad day for our state, a sad day for our democratic process. I think it's a sad day for religious liberty as well.
Some in the religious community said it was a challenging day.
I believe that we as a faith-based community, first of all, are commanded to love, but to expect us to condone something that we don't agree in, to condone something that goes against what the Bible says.
But while most, like Pastor Renee Hornbuckle, took a calm approach, others, like Vikings cornerback Josh Robinson, tweeted controversial statements. In one of his tweets, he compared gay marriage to pedophilia. Love is love. So what will we say when the 30-year-old loves your 10-year-old, when the dad loves his 6-year-old? It's different? Yeah, okay. Opponents to gay marriage, like Republican Matt Rinaldi, say today's decision is an overreach by the Supreme Court.
What you had was 5 unelected Supreme Court justices essentially redefining an institution that's defined our society and bound our society for the last 200 years.
In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott has already signed into law a bill that protects pastors from performing gay marriages if they are religiously opposed. But Rinaldi says there needs to be more restrictions and will ask the governor to call a special session. Rebecca Lopez, Channel 8 News.
Well, celebrations will happen tonight. A massive community rally is being planned in Dallas. Doors are open now at the Cathedral of Hope on Cedar Springs Avenue. A march will begin there at 6. Hundreds of people are then expected to march to the Legacy of Love Monument in Oak Lawn. They will rally for an hour or two right at the corner of Oak Lawn Avenue and Cedar Springs. Our coverage continues tonight at 6. Jason Whiteley will dive more into the political fallout here in Texas. Then 2 pastors, 2 points of view. The response to today's historic ruling. Again, it's all tonight on News 8 at 6.
We got it. Really?
Moments after the hugs and kisses, Dallas County's clerk began issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples, and they'll issue licenses until 6:30 tonight, staying open late to accommodate requests.
So here's where the status of same-sex marriages in North Texas stands tonight. Dallas and Tarrant County have issued licenses and performed marriage ceremonies throughout the day. The clerks in Collin, Denton, Hunt, Johnson, and Wise counties are not issuing marriage licenses. Now, some clerks are waiting on upgrades to computer software. Others want some direction from the state. But we're going to begin our live coverage tonight with News 8's Marcus Moore. He's at the George Allen Courthouse, where several ceremonies happened today.
John, we have seen couples coming in and out of the courts building today, and these were moments that many of the couples we met today weren't sure would actually become a reality. And among those we met today at the county clerk's office here in downtown Dallas were Jack Evans and his husband, George Harris. Both in their 80s, they have been together for 54 years, and they say in that time they have seen a lot change.
You can't believe, I could write a book about it. When we got together, it was against the law to be gay. You could be arrested just for being a homosexual.
And today, in a historic moment, Evans and his husband were the very first to be married this morning in Dallas County, something they said was long overdue.
It had to come. It had to come. Segregation took many, many years, and we're still fighting that. It's come one state at a time, one person at a time.
And they met back in 1961 at a party. They have been together ever since. Both worked in real estate for 38 years before retiring, and they said they always wanted to be married in Texas, and today that happened. We're live downtown. Marcus Moore, Channel 8 News.
Happening right now in the Dallas Oak Lawn neighborhood, a rally celebrating today's Supreme Court ruling. Members of the LGBT community will march from the Cathedral of Hope to the Legacy of Love Monument at Oak Lawn and Cedar Springs, all celebrating their rights to marriage. As same-sex couples marry, they now become eligible for those spousal retirement benefits. City of Dallas made that change actually earlier in the year, and now a Dallas County judge wants to expand the benefits offered to county employees. Channel 8's Tanya Iser is live in Oak Lawn with more on that.
Well, obviously cities and counties all across the state are grappling with the implications of this ruling. Several cities I spoke with said they're assessing what it means to them. Others said they're already moving forward with making changes in their health care benefits. Others said they're just going to make sure they comply with state and federal law, but they might want to take a look at Dallas County's example.
The people.
Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins says he's moving full speed ahead to provide county health insurance for married same-sex couples.
There's no excuse to wait. Justice delayed is justice denied.
Already, at least 15 county employees have inquired about insurance for their same-sex partners. Before Friday's ruling, the county was legally prohibited from doing so. The county had a subsidy program, but only had one taker last year.
But in the private marketplace, you couldn't buy nearly as much insurance or as good or quality of coverage as you could by getting the group plan through the county.
All that's changed now. For Dallas police officers Monica Cordova and Bronda Davis, the ruling is a long time in coming.
I was actually out at the gun range qualifying, and a friend of mine walked up and high-fived and said it passed. It was I got goosebumps. I haven't stopped smiling.
Cordova and Davis led the recent successful fight so that gay Dallas police officers and firefighters gained the right to same-sex survivor benefits.
If you're doing a job just like everybody else is doing it, then you should be able to have the same benefits and same treated equal, basically.
Davis has a plan for Monday. She's getting married to her partner of 10 years.
I'm from Texas. I've lived here, raised here, and I just wanted it to happen in my home state.
Her partner was already covered by the city's health insurance plan. Now they'll be legally married just like everybody else. Tanya Iser, Channel 8 News.
A Fort Worth police officer was the first to get a marriage license in Tarrant County today. Corporal Tracy Knight and her longtime partner had their daughter Evan by their side this morning. The couple had already been married in California, but decided to get a license in their home state.
Our family recognized in our beloved Texas is awesome. Makes me teary-eyed. It's good.
Tarrant County Clerk handed out about 48 marriage licenses to same-sex couples today.
This has not been a day of celebration for everybody. Opponents of same-sex marriage took the opportunity to decry the Supreme Court's ruling. Many call it a setback, others an assault on state rights. Some in the religious community, including Pastor Renee Hornbuckle, called it a challenging day in Texas.
I believe that we as a faith-based community, first of all, are commanded to love, but to expect us to condone something that we don't agree in, to condone something that goes against what the Bible says.
Some lawmakers are even preparing to call for a special session in response to the court's ruling. And Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick now wants to protect court officials who want to refuse to give out marriage licenses on religious grounds.
It's an issue that has deeply divided lawmakers. Channel 8's Jason Whiteley picks up our coverage with the politics of the same-sex marriage debate.
Reaction to the ruling was as predictable as politics.
It may be, but it's time for Texas to push back. Look, we are tired of the federal government shredding our state constitution and taking over our state.
In all due respect, we can push back, but we need to be strategic in pushing back. And we need to push back where it makes sense. And if you have a Supreme Court that has said that it's constitutional, it seems as though it would be irresponsible of us to try to push back on something that has been deemed constitutional.
State Senators Don Huffines and Royce West debated the state's next steps during a taping of Inside Texas Politics to air Sunday.
We are very early on.
Huffines predicted that Republicans will look for legislation against same-sex marriage.
And they're going to come up with some good ideas. I mean, all things to protect businesses, private businesses, from selling the wedding cakes and things like that to gay couples.
Well, I mean, and the reality is this, though. We can do all that we want to. The Supreme Court has basically said it's constitutional. And I would hate to see us just kind of throw away taxpayers' dollars filing frivolous lawsuits.
But regulation remains a possibility.
There are a lot of Texas politicians who are sort of permanently bowed up against the federal government who don't like these kinds of orders coming from Washington. And I think they're going to start looking for ways to regulate within the ruling made by the Supreme Court.
The state's Pastor Protection Act already prevents ministers from performing same-sex marriages if they oppose them. Texas conservatives now vow their next fight is religious liberty. Jason Whiteley, Channel 8 News.
Late today, the Dallas Bishop Kevin Farrell reacted to today's marriage ruling. He wrote that the marriage of one man and one woman predates all nations and laws. Farrell asked for prayers for the sanctity of marriage and for our country. You know, this afternoon, I sat down with two other faith leaders with opposing views on today's decision and same-sex marriage. Dr. Neil Casares Thomas is the senior pastor at Dallas's Cathedral of Hope Church, and Dr. Robert Jeffress serves as the senior pastor of First Baptist Church, Dallas.
In this country, we do believe in the Supreme Court to affirm what is the law of our country. And I also understand that Dr. Jeffress has his religious beliefs, as I have my religious beliefs. And your religious beliefs don't trump my religious beliefs. And my religious beliefs believe that all people are made in the divine image of a wonderful, loving, gracious God, and that love between two people, whether it be between two people of the same gender or two people of the opposite gender, should be affirmed and valued and lifted up in our civil society. And religiously, I don't believe that there is anything in the Bible that condemns homosexuality or homosexual relationships in the way we view them today. We have evolved, as Barack Obama has done, and so many. We've evolved as a society about what love is and how that manifests itself.
You know, I'd be interested to know, Dr. Thomas, and by the way, welcome to Dallas. I'd be interested to know your perspective on religious freedom. For example, should those bakers in Oregon who had the Sweet Cakes bakery and refused to bake a cake for a lesbian wedding, do you think the government was right to sanction them? Should they be put out of business like they are because they will not violate their religious conscience and serve a same-sex marriage ceremony? Do you think they ought to be fined by the government, or was the government wrong?
Dr. Jeffress, do you believe that those who opposed slavery and those who opposed interracial marriage should not have had the law protect them and to ensure that both black and white people were able to drink out of the same fountains?
So I take it your answer is yes, they should have their business taken away from them because they won't bake a wedding cake for a gay ceremony. Is that true?
I didn't ask that, Dr. Jeffress.
No.
I asked you what your...
But you won't answer the question, will you?
You won't answer my question.
I do not believe race is the same as sexual choice. I have an African-American pastor friend here in this community who says, don't equate sin with the color of my skin. And I believe many people of color, not all, but many, take offense that you equate sexual choices with skin color. And that's very offensive to many people.
It's very offensive to me that you would equate my sexual orientation as a sexual choice. My sexual orientation is just as valid in my lifestyle as someone's color of their skin. It is not a choice. It is something that is a God-given gift.
Pastor,
and I will not demonize people.
Pastor, all sexual activity is a choice. All sexual activity. Nobody puts a gun to your head or my head and makes us do anything sexually. It is all a choice. If you're talking about inclination, that's another story. But I think it's interesting, you didn't answer the question of whether or not that baker ought to have his business taken away because his religious belief of 2,000 years in this country says marriage should be between a man and a woman. And John, that's where I'm afraid we're going here. Those who cry for tolerance are going to be the most intolerant of people like us to retain our beliefs without threat of civil litigation or even governmental sanctions.
That was just a snippet of a much longer conversation on today's ruling and how it's being viewed by some religious leaders. You can find the full conversation. We have it for you on our website, and you can add your own comments on Facebook. Just search for WFAA TV.
Live from Victory Park, this is News 8 at 10.
When that slow, steady effort is rewarded with justice that arrives like a thunderbolt.
We're getting married in Texas.
For thousands of couples, the wait is over.
Now, upon the authority invested in me by the state of Texas, I pronounce you married, forever partners in love and in life.
Their joy fueled by a landmark victory for civil rights.
It's a feeling of belonging to the human race.
Good evening. I'm John McKay.
And I'm Cynthia Aguirre. Thank you for joining us at the end of what has been an historic day for civil rights. Tonight, the colors of the Pride rainbow are splashed across the White House hours after the nation's highest court ruled that states cannot ban same-sex marriage.
Today, couples lined up all over North Texas to get married, but they didn't all get what they wanted. So far, only Dallas and Tarrant counties have issued marriage licenses. The clerks in Collin, Denton, Hunt, Parker, Johnson, and Wise counties are either waiting for software upgrades or direction from the state. But late today, the Texas Department of State Health Services changed the existing form to read Applicant 1 and Applicant 2 instead of male and female. Tonight, our crews are tracking the impact of this decision across North Texas. But we want to begin with News 8's Jobin Paniker, who's in Dallas. Jobin?
You know, that party would still be going on if it wasn't for some of this rain. Imagine 500 people in this intersection here at Cedar Springs, and then nothing. All these people taking cover now. Before that, though, lots of excitement, lots of energy. It is a rally that started really in church. More than 500 showed, lots of couples, lots of smiles too. Reverend Dr. Neal of Cathedral of Hope was with staff when the decision came down.
We all just looked up, cried, smiled, laughed, and then went, hang on, is that real? Is that real?
Real enough to give these two Dallas couples a long-awaited moment. Shannon and Marlon tied the knot. So did Zante and Debbie, few of the many who now want a church wedding.
It is a message, and it's a message of love. Love wins, always.
Mark Ferris and his partner Vic spoke to the long fight, the people who came before, and a big thank you to the Supreme Court.
They've given us the best wedding present we could ever ask for, and they've given us the opportunity to celebrate anniversaries like everyone else.
The rally would transition outside as people marched along Cedar Springs, more than a mile.
It's this sense of relief, excitement, energy.
That energy we saw in the march, it didn't seem like anything could rain on this parade until it did. It had people running for cover. The party didn't start like it ended, but when you put what happened today in context, does it matter? Jobin Paniker, Channel 8 News.
This Supreme Court decision was as close as it could possibly be, with 5 justices voting for same-sex marriage and 4 voting against. Justice Kennedy wrote for the majority, saying gay couples ask for the equal dignity in the eyes of the law, and the Constitution grants them that right. In a dissent, Justice Scalia blasted the court's threat to American democracy. News 8's Lauren Zucala continues our live coverage now. She's with couples marking this historic moment in Fort Worth. It was an emotional day, Lauren.
Yeah, indeed, Cynthia. Tonight, hundreds packed inside the Celebration Community Church here in Fort Worth. And indeed, that community was celebrating. 48 couples here in Tarrant County received same-sex marriage licenses today. Tonight, we watched as the first of those couples got married. It was a moment that meant so much for so many.
I remember that. How long ago was that? 95.
It is 5:30 on a Friday night.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So we'll have rings and we'll have vows.
And Pastor Carol West is getting ready to do something she never thought possible.
I'm in my mid-60s, and I did not think I would live to see it happen. I remember the days when things were very, very different. It's a great day for all Americans. I feel fantastic.
On the very same day the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage,
It's our 20th anniversary today.
the predominantly LGBT congregation at Celebration Community Church in Fort Worth
And we're glad we're all here.
is about to witness history for the second time in one day.
Would Michael and Victor please come forward?
Michael Ziegler and Victor Lopez are about to become the first same-sex marriage in Tarrant County. A judge waived the 72-hour waiting period for them because today is their 20th anniversary.
By the power that is vested in me by this church, by the power of the state of Texas, and by the power of their love, I do proclaim that they are married.
The men were overjoyed.
So many people have paved the way for us to get here, to get in this place.
You may kiss.
It is the ultimate victory for Pastor West, who began her ministry performing funerals for AIDS victims.
And I think the greatest excitement to me is that I'll end my career doing weddings. How exciting. How wonderful. What a celebration.
We witnessed another historic moment earlier in the day. We were there when the county issued its very first same-sex marriage license to none other than Fort Worth Police Department spokeswoman Corporal Tracy Knight. An emotional moment for her with her wife and her daughter by her side. Now, something interesting to note here, the Tarrant County Clerk's office tells me that indeed they issued 48 same-sex marriage licenses today. They also issued 69 traditional marriage licenses, a much higher number, they say, than usual. We are live in Fort Worth. Lauren Sakalik, Channel 8 News.
All right, Lauren, today Governor Abbott said that he won't order agencies to deny benefits to same-sex spouses of state employees, but he made it clear he believes marriage is between a man and a woman. The Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, is asking to expand the Pastor Protection Act. That's the new law giving a choice in performing same-sex marriage ceremonies. Patrick has asked the State Attorney General to broaden that act to include county clerks, judges, and justices of the peace who may be forced to issue a marriage license.
Tonight in Denton County, clerks are waiting on software upgrades to start issuing marriage licenses, but it could happen by Monday. News 8's Marie Saavedra is live in Denton tonight with the details. Marie?
Izzy, no licenses issued for same-sex couples in Denton tonight, and the county took a lot of heat for that. The clerk tells me this is all about that computer issue. She wanted the forms to be updated to reflect today's decision. So to say applicant 1, applicant 2, they didn't say that. She needs to wait until Monday to make that change happen, and that is why no licenses were issued today. There are people here in Denton County who will tell you they think that is a bit of a cop-out, their words. However, that didn't keep them from celebrating.
For the 100-plus people who gathered here Friday, Denton County is home.
And I just feel this circle of love right now. I'm just so excited.
And it now must acknowledge the promise Kenesha Payne and Jennifer Manger made to each other.
We are so blessed that Texas has finally recognized it.
They married in New Mexico after years together. They have kids and now a sense of victory and relief.
If there are any legal or medical issues, we're covered and we're taken care of, and I don't have to fight for the rights of any other couple.
Even so, the party was in some ways premature. Outside the Denton County Clerk's office, there were no lines of couples, instead a sign. Due to issues with the office's computer programs that kept it from changing the language written on the paperwork for marriage, the clerk would not issue any same-sex licenses.
Conveniently.
There are many skeptics, but the clerk says she understands the law and aims to start offering updated licenses Monday.
Everybody needs to take a chill pill here, let these things work their way out.
County Judge Mary Horn came to the clerk's defense. She is also giving voice to judges who disagree with the ruling and won't perform any same-sex ceremonies.
I believe we still have religious liberties in this country and certainly in the state of Texas. So I think as long as we can respect each other's point of views, this is all going to work out.
Even with differing opinions and delays, it doesn't change the outcome, which is what really matters to LGBT families who call Denton home.
On the whole, we are so excited. Nothing's going to ruin that.
In Denton, Marie Saavedra, Channel 8 News.
Stay with News 8 as we continue to cover this historic ruling. We'll have developments through the weekend and Monday when more counties are expected to begin issuing marriage licenses. On a day of so many weddings, one stood apart from the rest. Together for 54 years, this was the day Jack and George have been waiting for. News 8's David Schechter has their story.
They were not the first in line today to take wedding vows.
We are gathered together to celebrate the rites of matrimony between Jack and George.
But they were first in many people's hearts. Other same-sex couples, eager to finally get hitched, insisted that Jack Evans and George Harris cut the line and go first. After 50 years together, they deserved it.
Obviously, it's not just a big day for us, but it's a big day for everybody. Everybody wins, nobody loses.
Outside, Evans and Harris posed with another set of newlyweds, all of them participants in a day certain to be recorded in tomorrow's history books. That's Chris Williams on the far left and Richard Neal in the center, who owns Zeus Comics.
One of my favorite books right now.
Theirs started as a long-distance relationship.
And then he planned another visit, and then another visit, and then at some point he just didn't go home. And so he stayed, and it's been 11 years.
6 years ago, they held a carefully planned commitment ceremony for friends and family. It was wonderful, they say, but they were missing the legal protections that married couples enjoy, like the ability to make life or death medical decisions.
We weren't married. In the eyes of the law, we were roommates.
Today, when the news hit, they hustled down to the courthouse in shorts and T-shirts.
It not only tells us as adults, but it also tells a lot of the LGBT youth that you can have real and valuable relationships. You can grow up to be real and whole people, but you can have committed, loving relationships.
And all the rights that come with it.
My last question is, who owns this store?
Well, I own the store, but as of today,
I get half in the divorce.
I guess you get wise waiting 11 years to become a newlywed.
But it's not coming to that, right?
No.
David Schechter, Channel 8 News.
The Supreme Court's ruling sparked celebrations, discussion, and a wave of marriages across the country. For many, June 26, 2015 remains a defining day in America's legal history. Thanks for watching.